This is JP Morgan Chase on the monthly chart, and what you can see is price nearly nipped my target at 160 before price has pulled back to the 135 area. And this 141 area has served as a magnet for price. It was resistance, served as support, resistance. And now the question is it going to serve as resistance again after serving as support back in July? Now, one thing of note, when we scroll down to the weekly chart, you can see that price is still in an uptrend, although price has pulled back roughly $25. What's interesting about JP Morgan is that the CEO, Jamie Dimon, who's one of the most powerfulest guys on Wall Street, and JP Morgan, one of the most powerfulest banks in the world, well, he's selling shares. Now, he's saying it's for financial diversification and tax and estate planning, but it's interesting that this is the first time he's ever selling shares, as interest rates are at not all-time highs, but highs that we haven't seen in many, many, many years. So before we continue with the analysis, let's look at this video. It is coming from CNBC.
JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon planning his first stock sale since taking over as CEO nearly 2 decades ago. Our Leslie Picker with the details. So this came in a filing, Leslie.
It did. You see that slide there, down about 2.7% right now. JP Morgan announcing in that SEC filing that its chairman and CEO Jamie Dimon intends to sell 1 million shares beginning in 2024. At today's levels, that amounts to roughly $140 million and around 9% of his beneficial ownership when including unvested performance share units and stock appreciation rights. As you mentioned, Sarah, this is Dimon's first such stock sale since he took over as CEO. In the filing, JP Morgan said, quote, Mr. Dimon continues to believe the company's prospects are very strong and his stake in the company will remain very significant. I'm told the share sale is not indicative of any kind of leadership change at the top of JP Morgan, that it's purely for financial diversification and estate and tax planning purposes for Dimon and his family. But Wells Fargo's Mike Mayo just putting out a note saying the timing of these sales got his attention, with Mayo writing in this new note, this is the first stock sale that he will make and comes after his bearish comments that include the possibility of interest rates increasing to 7% and a, quote, uninvestable banking sector given the burden of new proposed Basel III capital rules. Dimon will use stock trading plans to sell his shares throughout the course of 2024 under the guidelines of Rule 10b5-1. This gives insiders the ability to sell a predetermined amount of shares at a set time. As for whether this is the start of Dimon selling down his more than $1.5 billion ownership in JP Morgan, that doesn't appear to be the case. I'm told by a source close to Dimon that he has no current plans to do more of these. But you can see shares still down about 2.8% right now on this news, guys.
I sort of remember, Leslie, more over the course of the last few years, moments when Jamie stepped in to buy, and those being actually very opportune times to buy the stock or the overall market, and he projected confidence. Doesn't sound like that's what this is on the flip side, but it does remind me of those moments.
Yeah, no, I mean, we think of Dimon more as a buyer of shares here, and you know, his beneficial ownership amounts to about $1.5 billion. Some of that is unvested options and things that he doesn't have direct access to right now, but nonetheless, his exposure is about $1.5 billion in this company. So he has a tremendously large ownership exposure to this company, regardless of the $140 million worth that would be sold over the course of 2024. But it's still noteworthy, given that it's the first time he's done that. Of course, people familiar with the matter say that, you know, it's not indicative of any kind of succession change. He does have that bonus that incentivizes him to stay through at least 2026 here. But kind of given what we saw yesterday with Morgan Stanley, or 2 days ago with Morgan Stanley and other areas of Wall Street, that certainly is a question, at least among investors today, as we see the stock reaction.
Now, although price is still in an uptrend, one can say that price broke the uptrend line. And so at a minimum, the chart suggests there is downside momentum that's taking place. Scrolling to the daily chart, you could also see that price has closed below the 200-day moving average, which has served as a dynamic support resistance line. Back in early October, it served as support. And then you can see the most recent price action this past week. It has served as resistance. You also have your moving averages starting to point down, which is also indication that the downside move potentially is just beginning. Now, how far can price go? Well, you do have this gap that needs to be filled at roughly $129. However, the charts are suggesting the best levels to go long, it's going to be at this daily buyer's level at 122.50. And this is the formation of the zone. You had a rallying price, base and candle, and rally out. Price nearly came back and then shot higher, so you know that there are unfilled orders here or buyers waiting to get in. So again, two levels to consider. Get the gap fill at 129 and the daily buyer's level at 122.5. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Please like the video.